this game, this franchise is going downhill fast. What's on, guys? J-Hoy back with you today. Welcome back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. We are back here on our first game of the full release. And this is actually the second time I'm recording this video because started going off about this video and I forgot to hit start recording. So that's always great. But I want to give some initial thoughts, some feedback, some initial response to the, I don't want to say limited games I've played so far, but we're about like 15, 20 games into Modern Warfare 2 here. And I wanted to give some feedback, some thoughts, and just how everything's been going so far, and put some potential fixes that you could make to make this game even better. So let's start with the gunplay. So I know this isn't the beta, so we don't have to talk about, a lot of these things, but the gunplay, right? So far I've only really used the gun I'm using in this video, which is the M4. And once again, we have about 1,000 attachments to choose from, which is definitely not the preferred way to do attachments, and especially guns. Well, they're doing a new thing this year where, how do I explain this? There's a gun, so the M4, then after so long, it gets switched to a different gun that you have to then unlock the attachments for that gun, and then you go off of that gun and do the same thing. And it's a big, chaotic, advanced mess of a system. And why we're doing it, who knows? They just wanted to be different, I guess. But doesn't really make sense. I don't know what's wrong with just having the guns in the game. Normally you have your 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ARs, however many, 10 subs, 10 snipers, however many snipers, shotguns, launchers, pistols. At this point, I don't know why we can't just dumb it down and make it super simple, personally. But we'll go back to the M4. So this gun, decent. Like I said, it's the only really gun I've used so far. Haven't really played a ton with it, any other guns. And it's been a pretty decent time, right? We had to, get used to the game, change around some settings, the sensitivities, aim assist, all that fun stuff. So, a lot of these games have been trying out different settings, trying to find what works for myself personally. And that's going to be a lot of the first few videos of Call of Duty this year, at least for myself, along with waiting, for ranked play and waiting to get, all these guns unlocked. So with that being said, there's a million attachments, which we've already talked about. There's the gun platform system, or whatever you want to call it, a bunch of unnecessary crap that they added to the game. Once again, that just, I don't understand the reason behind it. But then let's talk about the maps, which, if you guys know me, the two things that I care about most in a Call of Duty is, does it have good maps? And not just good maps. I don't care about 3 good maps. I want to have 5 to 10 good maps in a game. Now that's a lot to ask for, don't get me wrong. That's a lot. But if you have that many maps, usually it could survive a whole year of me playing it and wanting to stay on the game. Now, even after its release, the game releases, you gotta get more maps, because eventually, a few months down the road, when everyone's sick and tired of playing the same map and mode combination, because that's the only good maps in the game, it's gonna get very boring and very stale very quickly. The same story we've said all along, right? If you have good maps, second thing is you have a good ranked play. You have to give me something to play for, because last year in Vanguard, realistically, my skill level was a lot higher than my rank actually was. But unless you play the game every single day and play a ton, your rank will not be very high. You won't get to where you actually deserve to be. And I'm not calling myself a pro player, saying I should be in the top 250 guaranteed. But I should have been a lot higher than what my actual skill level said every single year. But we're waiting on ranked play, which they said they're going to be releasing like a mosh pit playlist, a CDL mosh pit playlist, sometime upcoming, who knows when. Ranked play should be probably after that, once they figure out maps and rotations and where to place hard points and control points and bomb sites and all that stuff. So that'll be a lot of the early testing of competitive, especially given that a lot of the players are already scrimming, are already trying to figure out, the best rotations, the best hard points, the best control points, bomb sites, all that good fun stuff. And we have a lot to look forward to. Obviously, a lot of pro players are already playing this game, are already trying to figure out stuff, and that's what, helps the, I don't want to say casual community, but the competitive casual community as well, to try to make this the best game possible. But speaking to the maps, we go and figure, you poll majority of any Call of Duty player ever, and most likely if you were to ask them for their top 10 maps of all time, I would probably bet a good amount of money that either Raid, Standoff, or Slums at least make an appearance somewhere in there, right? All those maps are also from Black Ops 2, right? Myself personally, you add in a map like Fringe, and you add in a few more maps without going through every single map from every Call of Duty recently. There hasn't been a lot of absolutely legendary maps like your Slums, like your Standoffs, like your Raid, and there's a reason they've brought them back in so many Call of Duties, is because they're good maps. They're good, solid maps where you don't have to run through 13 buildings to figure out how to play the game, right? You have good rotations, you have good sight lines, you have good, pretty much everything on those maps, and you wonder why people love them so much, because they're good. They play well. Like, you don't have to, play hide and seek to try to find out where people are. And that's why people love them so much, right? You look at some of the maps from this game alone, and it's just a non-stop running through hallways, running through doors, running through everywhere to try to find people. And especially with the minimap change, where they don't have red dots of people that are shooting on the minimap, it makes it very hard to try to find people. And I say it pretty much every year, all year long, that after a certain point of this franchise, this Call of Duty franchise being out for, 15 plus years now, you'd probably think that some of these heads of studios or whatever their titles are would say, hey, after so long, we probably know what's going to make a good Call of Duty. Now, also, you have to make a new Call of Duty, which, makes sense. But if you say, hey, we need to design the new Call of Duty. Okay, what types of maps do people like playing? Then they take, probably a good list of probably like maybe 15, 20 maps, and they're like, all right, even if they take those maps and put them on a whiteboard and say, hey, we should make something similar to these maps. Right? Not necessarily copy and paste and then just a new design on the map, but you can make a good Call of Duty map just by looking at the old ones, right? You take Standoff, right? For example, take that map. Okay, what makes this map good? The rotations, there's not too many buildings, right? You can still sit in corners of them, but most likely you don't have to add 7 million buildings to make it a good map. Right, you can have open space, you can put tanks, or cars, or statues, or barricades, or whatever on the map to make it playable and not just have a huge field that people have to run across to get to, the key points of the map, right? You take Raid, what makes it so good? Same type of thing. You have a good rotation around the map, you have good maps, you have good cover, you have lots of good things on those maps that make them good. You look at Slums, same thing. You have good rotations. You have good cover. I can say the same thing for a lot of maps. Fringe, same thing, right? You have enough open space, enough lanes on the map to make it a good map. But recently, these maps are not good. I know they spend so much time and effort on trying to make these maps look as good and try to have as many details as possible, that, you know, they work so hard on them. But at the end of the day, if they don't play well, then that's all for waste. Like, it's just a huge, big waste of time. And by now, I say it every year, that somehow we need to make these developers realize that, I understand they want to make a brand new, fresh Call of Duty with new features and not have a same, you know, copy and paste every single year. But as of right now, this game, this franchise is going downhill fast. And this will be there will be a follow-up video to this on what made Call of Duty have a huge downfall, which you should be looking out for. But we don't go too crazy positive in this one, but we're still learning the game. We're still trying to have some fun in the process, and of course still get some good games in with Ben. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below. Leave all of your thoughts and comments down there in that comments section. And if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe. Turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload. And don't forget, you can always change your mind later. But with all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.